Hi there, my name's Chris Widener. I'm one of the co-founders of ROI Expert Advisors, and I just want to let you know that we are rebranding the Big Mo Real Estate Radio Show to ROI Real Estate Radio. Still great content. We're still going to be motivating, still going to be helping you make more money, but just wanted to let you know we are now ROI Real Estate Radio.
Hey, everybody, it's Chris Widener along with my good friend, Chris Stege. You're listening to the Big Mo Real Estate Podcast. We're going to help you get motivated, build momentum, and make more money. Sounds like a great idea, right? So today we're doing something a little bit different. Typically, we're going to go about 45 minutes. We're going to talk about all things real estate, all things about motivation, how to stay driven, how to build your business. But today we want to do a little something different. And then we're going to flip-flop it on the next episode. I want you to meet Chris. Now, it's kind of funny. We got two Chris's, Chris and Chris. Well, Chris is going to interview Chris today, and then we're going to have Chris interview Chris. Chris Widener today is going to interview Chris Stege. Chris Stege, thanks for joining us on your podcast.
Hey, we're here, man. I'm just thrilled to be here. What a privilege to sit on with you and co-host this. I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time, and we're going to help folks really not just build their real estate, make more money, which is fantastic, but stay motivated, enjoy life, have more fun, because frankly, at the end of your life, nobody says, I wish I sold more real estate, right? I mean, while you're living, you want to sell more real estate because that's how you pay for everything. But ultimately, it's about relationships, it's about legacy, it's about all those kinds of things. And so I just want people to get to know you a little bit. So let's dive in and just give us the overview. I know you're married, you got two beautiful daughters. Tell us about your family.
Well, I've been married. Actually, we're coming up on 15 years, wow, September 2nd. We're excited. I'm thrilled just to be married to my lovely wife, Kelly. And we've got two daughters, 6 and 4, Stella and Noah. They're learning the game of golf. They're having a great time getting ready for school. I mean, there's just a bunch of activities. We're in Activity Central this summer. We just got off a very nice vacation. We went to the mountains. We're in Austin, Texas. So we like to take a break from this 100-degree heat. And so we go to the mountains, which is our place. And so it gives us a little bit of a break and a little bit of
where's your favorite place to go when you go to the mountains? Where do you go?
You know, we love Red River, New Mexico. We love it's Taos, Red River. You've got Angel Fire. It's kind of a triangle up in the northeast side, actually very close to the Colorado border. And it's a little hidden gem. We play a lot of golf. We do a lot of zip lining. We do a lot of hiking and trailing, ATVing. I mean, it's just a fun. We actually went down this year and did a Rio Grande rafting trip, and it was special. So just create memories. We love to do that as a family. And
when you're a big golf family, right? Big golf family.
Big golf family.
We're going to have to do a Big Mo Real Estate Podcast golf event eventually. When we get a big enough list, we're going to put on an event, and maybe we can do a few of them around the country. But that's cool. Very good. I'm glad you found somebody to spend 15 years with you already. So
hey man, she's I tell you, marriage is good, but it's hard and it's fun. And I'll tell you, the best advice I was ever given is just date your wife. Always date your wife. Just keep on keeping on. Yeah. And date your spouse. It keeps everything going and moving and exciting and fun and everything else. So yeah.
Well, before we get into your real estate career, tell me about your upbringing. Where were you born and raised? What did you do? Did you play sports? Let's let people kind of get to know where you came from before we help people understand where you are now.
Chris, that's a great question. I was born in Houston. I'm a Texas native. I spent the majority of my upbringing in West Texas, which is Lubbock. Texas Tech Red Raiders is where my wife and I both went to school. And my dad, I come from a long line of musicians and ministers. And so my dad just retired, 52 years in a vocational ministry. Wow. And so we're excited. They're actually moving here to be closer to their grandkids, my kids, and my brother and his wife's kids.
Isn't it funny? Nobody ever moves to get closer to their kids. They moved to get closer to their grandkids.
And isn't that funny?
Yeah.
We love it. We can't wait. We're so excited. And so, in fact, they're coming down, headed down today. But I grew up there. I grew up in Lubbock. Lubbock is such a great place to grow up. I at a young age, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and at 16 years of age, I built a company, and it worked all the way through my high school into my college years. Sold it at 19, and then I went through college. Had a time in my life where I desired to give the music scene a go, and so I, on a whim, was 22 years of age. I come back from working a sports camp, and I grew up in playing golf and football, and was high into like just many choral band music. I was a drummer, and so I actually got to travel and play. I had an opportunity. It's probably for another day, but I got the opportunity to travel and tour as a professional musician, living in Nashville, Tennessee. And I did that really throughout my entire 20s. And but throughout my entire 20s, I as the music business space goes, you've got to have some things in the interim because I was a contract musician, Chris, and so I would get called to go on a 3-month tour or a 6-month tour or a 4-week tour. But then there was those blocks of time during the month where I would have to find work. And so my brother-in-law, which is called me early in summer of 2000. And I started building a direct selling company that launched really my career. It really helped now into the real estate space. But I did that, Chris, for almost 19 years.
Wow.
Built a great organization. I did it because it was the best thing at the time for me to do, that I could still go after my passion of playing, and it wouldn't interfere with someone else's work, needing me to be there, et cetera. So
I suppose now those drummers are all driving Uber when they're not on
that's
on the
it.
calendar.
It's amazing. You'd see some of these guys that were playing for these big stars, Chris, and they're working side jobs, throughout the city. It's pretty common. Loved it. Had a great time. My wife graduated from tech, ended up moving there to Nashville, living with, working there locally. And then we, in 2006, moved back, left that behind me. A new chapter started, and moved back to Central Texas. And we've been here ever since. So
you were making a full-time living in the direct sales industry.
Absolutely, we were. Yeah.
Cool. So how did you end up getting into real estate? What's the transition like? Did your relatives get you into it? Did you just answer an ad? Did you say, hey, I've always liked houses? What was the impetus to make that move?
I've just been in the business of relationships. I love to connect with people, and I love sales. I love building deep relationships. And, this was really a childhood dream of mine. And it had kind of was on the back burner for those years when I was in Nashville, and even some of my younger, in my 30s, when I was off doing some other things. But it was really a childhood dream. I started at 16 cutting grass. I started building a company, building a large lawn care company. It was I love the outdoors. I loved being able to connect with people, and then obviously I'm a finished product guy, and so that was a really good marriage. And so I would go around, and I had all these high-end homes that I would care for, and I just thought, how cool would that be? And I had a friend of my dad's who was a broker at the time, and we sat down, and I started kind of thinking about what that would look like, if I, could go into that profession. This was in my 16, 17, 18 years of age. And it ended up my senior year in high school. I wrote a senior theme on building a real estate company and what that would be in future years. And so let's see here, in the summer of 2013, that childhood dream became a reality. and took my friend of mine out to lunch. I said, buddy, give me the good, bad, and the ugly of the day in the life of a real estate agent. And I had sold the company in the spring of that year. And then I was 36 years of age, and I was going, okay, what am I going to do? And so it was an incredible time learning about this industry. And what was cool is I was able to get licensed within a month, and closed my first deal after getting licensed within 3 weeks. And then that first year, was able to do some pretty special things in business. So that was
in real estate. When was this? What year was this?
The summer of 2013.
Okay,
was
cool.
my
So
first year.
a significant amount of time. And tell us about your business. Tell us about what kinds of homes. Do you have a niche? What do you tell us a little bit about your real estate business.
I learned early on, Chris, that it's important to build a niche. I've always worked against the grain of what other professions in my industry are doing, and so that's something that we're going to talk more about, because I've built a pretty specific niche here in the Austin, Texas area, and I work west of 183, which is a highway here, is all hill country. My wife and I live near the Lake Travis and the hill country, and we live in a golf course community. And so I love the game of golf. And so I thought, how cool would it be to put golf, real estate, and people together? What could we build? And so these are homes that are within golf course communities. And I talk the language. We do events around like the Masters. We have friends of friends of friends that I've sold homes to that have sent me referrals, and it's a fun deal. And so that's been a large, probably about 85% of my business since I started. And
so
I do some.
We're gonna end up talking a lot about branding and positioning and niching over the course. We'll have some other experts on with us and things, but tell us a little bit about that. Like, there's a lot of people. I'm a realtor. Oh, you want a house on a golf course? Great. You want a condo? Great. You need an apartment? Great. You want one, near the railroad? Okay, fine. I'm the railroad king. How important do you really think that is? Is that important, or does that limit you? What do you think about that?
It is in this industry where we are right now. As agents, there are 18,000 in other parts of the country, 18,000 agents, realtors in the city of Austin and Austin surrounding counties. And so there's many realtors, and a generalist is going to have a hard time in this industry. A specialist is going to be sought out.
Well, and let me jump in.
Yeah.
A generalist is in any industry versus a specialist. As a professional speaker, when I was making $1,500 a speech, I was a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. Now, most of my speeches are on character-based influence, and I get $30,000 a speech, right? So it's so counterintuitive, because remember, I asked the question, is it important or does it limit you? And the reality is, yes, it's important and it limits you. But by limiting you, it actually makes you the go-to guy, right? You're the only guy in a smaller world instead of one of 18,000 in the bigger world.
That's it. When I first started, I love to give this example, because I love to give this reality, because many are in this position right now where you look at their last year's sales, you look at where it is on the map. It could be in a area like Phoenix or a DFW or Austin or Chicago or other areas where you live and you work in some specific area. And so we're northwest of Austin. Well, if you look at my first year in real estate, I was just excited. I was just thrilled to be a licensed agent. You get that first deal, it's motivating. And you're like, okay, where's the next deal? Where's the next deal? Where's the next deal? And if you look at my first year deals, which I created a 6-figure income, I netted 6 figures my first 1 year in the business.
That doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't happen. Well, I had a conversation with my broker, and I said, buddy, here's what we must do this first year. How do I make that happen? And we could talk about how that did happen on another episode, but it was all over the map. My deals were it was in East Austin, it was in South Austin, it was far west in the Hill Country, and it was Northwest. There was a few up in other cities. And what's crazy is that next year, because I had done those deals in those areas, I had more people asking me, could you come help me? Well, when you're working a specific niche, the schools, the upcoming developments, the people, the eateries. I mean, the what's to come. Those things. When you're closing one deal somewhere where you're not familiar with, you don't know those things, and so it's actually best to build that niche, to be sought after, to be the go-to guy. And so it's like a generalist doctor versus a specialist doctor. Specialist doctors for that special need, they're going to have a wait list. Yeah. They're going to be sought out. Sometimes people travel all throughout the country to get to a specialist, but a generalist is someone that you can pick up the phone and most likely get an appointment pretty quick. So you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that agent where you're always available. You want to be an agent where you have a wait list.
Well, and you can charge a premium for that.
Exactly right.
The funny thing about branding, I still remember, I never met the guy, never spoke to the guy, but from 30 years ago, like 1991, I first started seeing him. I used to live in Seattle, and I can still remember his name and everything. Lance the Landman. That's what he went by. Lance the Land. I don't know whatever happened to him. I don't know how, but he owned the raw land business in the greater Seattle, east side of Seattle area. Everybody knew Lance the Landman. If I needed to get some land right now, I'd probably just search for Lance the Landman. And I don't know if he's even still alive. I never met the guy, but when you have that kind of niche and that persona, and you can really own something, the sky's the limit, isn't it?
It is. And it actually, it's, see, Chris, that's memorable. You remember that.
Yeah. Lance the Landman, literally from 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to talk about, condo, specializing in condos, specializing in first time home buyers, specializing in equestrian. There's
military relocation. I mean, there's people in Colorado Springs and in Alabama, and some of these places we have bases, Tacoma, Washington. They can make a fortune doing relos.
We've built an empire. We built a great presence in this area, and nobody else is doing what I'm doing in the golf course communities. Yeah. And so and it's fun, and it's fun, and so.
A few last questions. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
What few last questions? What would you say is your number one real estate skill set? I mean, is it closing the deal? Is it getting leads? I mean, what would you say? This is something I'm about as good as you can get.
I would say, Chris, I would say I'm teachable. I'm always learning. Yeah. Always learning. I want to steward the gifts I've been given, and you've never mastered, you've never mastered, you're always mastering. Yeah. And so, I think having a teachable heart, spirit, someone that always learns is key. And so, I've always asked really great questions. There are agents that have been in this business much longer than I have, and always have a notepad. And what's to come from that is, you end up closing more deals. I've had a record-breaking year this year, and it's because I've been willing to learn this industry.
Yeah, and no matter what industry people are in, you got to keep learning. But real estate, I mean, there's some things you just have to learn because laws change, regulations change. But then skill sets that are imperative, like even just knowing how to build rapport with somebody. somebody who can really make a quick connection with somebody is going to be far more successful than somebody who has a difficult time making human connection. And so last question.
Yep.
You got a favorite quote or a favorite piece of advice or something that you hang your hat on regularly? Like what's something you go back to and you remind yourself of it a lot?
It's a great question. I'm going to say this, rejoice in hope, be patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. That is my go-to, and it's out of the book of Romans. And, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Say it to me again, rejoice in hope, patient in affliction,
and faithful in prayer.
Yeah, no, that is great advice. And, there's always affliction. There's always hardship, right? There's always that, whether you're talking your personal life, the personal struggles we all have, or real estate, the bad client, the demanding client, the deal that doesn't go through in the time frame, just all the stuff. There's affliction, there's trouble, but being able to, and this is one of the things we hope to help people with in our podcast, is how do you stay motivated? How do you keep that hope alive? How do you continue to push forward? Obviously we're in a great market right now, most places. And the market ebbs and flows, comes and goes, up and down. There's some agents who, they've never been in a down market. I remember a young kid got into the stock market like right before it crashed. And he's like, I'm just glad I got this out of the way at the beginning of my career. And I was like, that's a really great perspective to take, but how do you maintain that hope in the middle of affliction or hard time? So
hard
well,
times,
thank you so much for sharing your life story. Next episode we're going to do, we'll have me getting interviewed. We'll flip the switch a little bit, but Chris Stege from Austin, my great co-host in the Big Mo Radio podcast. We are excited to be able to share these things with you. If you want to join us, take a look over at our website. It's bigmoradio.com, bigmoradio.com. And we appreciate you listening. Any final words, Chris?
Hey, it's a privilege. I look forward to many more of these. Guys, hang tight. This is going to be a fun series of help, light, enjoyment, all kinds of goodness that's going to come from this. So I can't wait to share this time with you, Chris. Thanks, brother.
Always, as usual, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to hit the follow button, be able to hit the stars, whatever your particular thing you're watching this on, be sure to subscribe and be sure to let other people know. We would greatly appreciate that. On behalf of my good buddy and my co-host, Chris Stege, I'm Chris Widener, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mo Real Estate Podcast. Hey, folks, I'm hoping that you enjoyed that great episode. And I just want to remind you that we are now ROI Real Estate Radio. Be sure to check us out and share this video with all those who will enjoy it. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.